encourage everyone to go find your pets and feature them. So I just want to transition a bit to more of sort of the meat and potatoes talk of the open house today, which is more details about the admissions process and what the next couple of months will look like in terms of our decision timeline and so forth. Before I do that, I want to actually introduce the OSA team because these are individuals with whom you're going to work very, very closely at this point, pre-LBJ, and then of course all through your LBJ and post-LBJ experience. So I'll start with Shannon Chapman. Jen, do you want to say something real quick?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks so much for being here. This is one of the most exciting events of the year for us. I'm the director of the OSAA Office of Student Affairs and Admissions, and we're really looking forward to getting to know you throughout today and the application process. And again, thanks for being here. I know it's a really long Zoom day. And as Kate mentioned, feel free to pop in and out. We're recording the session. So great to meet you all, and thanks for being here.
Thank you, Shannon. I next want to introduce Rachel Sanson. She is sort of our office manager / master of all logistics, as I call her. And Rachel is the one who actually set up this meeting in terms of the Zoom structure and so forth. So Rachel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. As Kate said, I'm Rachel. I generally sit at the OSA front desk. So eventually you'll all see me there again. Please, if you have any general questions, send it to the LBJ OSA email. I'll put that in the chat in a second, and I will cascade it through to the right person. And you'll also see me sometimes helping with other OSA events and helping the careers team as well as the GC. So I do a bit of everything, but happy to see you all, and good luck with everything.
Thank you, Rachel. The next is our graduate coordinator and mission officers team. We've got 3 amazing people who make your life a lot easier during the admissions process. So just in the order of my screen, Laura, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good morning. My name is Laura Roach. I'm so happy to see some of the faces that I've been meeting with one-on-one. This season for us is really exciting. So I'm so glad that you're here. Please reach out. I'll put a plug that if we don't get to your individual chat, we're going to do our best to keep up, but there's a couple hundred of you and just a few of us. So if we miss your question, just reach out to us directly, and we'll get back to you, within 24 hours, if not sooner.
Thanks, Laura. Next on my screen is Gwen.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gwen Kelso. I am also a graduate coordinator at the LBJ School. And to piggyback on what Laura said, I'll be posting our email over and over, which is the LBJ admit address. So feel free to reach out to us directly and we will help you out. It's nice to see you all.
Thanks, Gwen. And our third fabulous graduate coordinator, Amy Pakes.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amy Pakes. By the time I think it gets to me, everybody has already said what I was going to say, but it is very nice to see all of you. Zoom has been a really great way to connect and see kind of the same faces over and over again. And like Dean Evans said, kind of get a glimpse into your life, which is really cool. So happy to help any way we can, and I hope you enjoy today.
Great. Thanks, Amy. Lauren is our assistant director for OSA. She also manages our brand new professional development certificate programs. Lauren?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Like Kate said, I run our professional development certificate program as well as our civic engagement program and a lot of the orientation activities. So along with Colleen, we are really here to help support you and set you up for success after your time at LBJ. If you want to know a little bit more about some of our services and resources and programs, we recorded a webinar last week, so that should be live on the website if you wanted to take a look at that.
Perfect. Thanks, Lauren. And last but not least, Colleen Gleason, who is our Senior Career Services Specialist.
Hi, everybody. It's great to see all of your faces. I know I saw some of you in the webinar that we did last week. As Lauren mentioned, we're here to help you with your preparation for life after LBJ. And for me, that means helping you with your internship search, your full-time job search, connecting you with employers, organizations, and alumni. I know there was a question from Shayna about where we have alumni, and that's one of the things that I think makes our school and our office most successful, is that we have such a strong alumni network. I rely very heavily on them in my research and in my preparation in the programming that I do, as well as connecting current students to alumni. So yeah.
Great. Thank you, Colleen. We also have online Robin Boone, who is our Deputy Director of our Washington program. Robin, did you want to say anything?
Hi, yeah, I'll just quickly introduce myself. Sorry, I have my video off for the most part. I'm actually away from home out in the woods in the cabin, which is very lovely. Highly recommend getting out of town every once in a while, especially during this time. But yes, I'm Robin Boone. I'm the Associate Director of the LBJ Washington Center and help run the DC concentration of the MPAF and MGPS programs. So anyone who's interested in DC, federal policy, please feel free to reach out. We also have a webinar on the website talking about the concentration. So thank you.
Thanks, Robin. And we'll talk a lot more about that concentration later. I believe also Dr. Lawrence Rade may be online.
I am.
Would you like to introduce yourself, Lawrence?
Sure. So my name is Lawrence Rade. I am the graduate advisor for the Global Policy Studies program here at the LBJ School. And I've done a lot of pre-recorded stuff already, so I think I'm going to be mostly silent for this meeting. But if you have any questions about the Global Policy Studies program, how it fits with what you want to do, my email is on the website. Just email me, and then I can talk to you during office hours and answer any of your questions that you might have. But I'm also going to be monitoring the chat here as well, and weigh in if there's questions that are specifically directed to me to take some of the questions off of Kate's plate.
Thanks so much. I always appreciate that. We will also be joined later by Professor Greenberg, who is a graduate advisor for the MPAF program. And then maybe also Dr. Stolp will join us. He's a graduate advisor for the PhD program. So in the 15 minutes I have, I'm kind of inundate you with information. I'm going to try to answer many of the frequently asked questions that we get about the degree programs and the application and admissions process. And there have been lots of great questions in the chat box. The number one question really is sort of, how do you actually choose one of the degree programs, given that there are multiple options at the LBJ school? And actually the briefest answer is you really don't have to make as stark as a choice as you think. We have many students who may actually apply for both programs or apply to one and then decide to switch to the other before semester class starts. What I would tell you is, if you're undecided between MPATH and GPS and maybe the DC concentration, apply to all of them and then sort of see where the chips fall. But most importantly, in practice at the LBJ school, besides the core classes for each degree program, you're going to have a lot of room to take classes in quote unquote the other degree program. That means that in practice at sort of the seminar level, if you're an MPAS student interested in national security, you are absolutely going to be able to take classes in national security. If you're a global policy student but wants to develop some skills, let's say in public financial management, you can cross over and take those classes. So while we have these degree programs in practice, there's plenty of opportunities to broaden your graduate education in ways that are suited directly towards your interests. And part of our structure is to facilitate that by having individual advising with all of you. So Lawrence, for example, just got through a marathon couple of weeks where he met with every single GPS student for one-on-one advising. That's something we do right before the semester begins, in the mid-semester before you register for the spring, and so forth. So the normal amount of individual advising sessions you get in any given semester is usually at least 3, which is pretty amazing in terms of a one-on-one time. And that means also that you can work directly with someone who's going to help you tailor the degree program towards your particular interest, as well as help advise you on things like career path trajectory, internship opportunities, professional development, and so forth. So that's kind of a very short version to how do I decide between the programs. I would also say at this point in time, if you're still thinking about it, reach out through LBJ admissions and ask to talk to one of our current students, or more than one current student or alumni who have been in different programs at the school, and they can tell you about their experiences, what they've done with those degrees, and so forth. So the best way to get information to help make a decision about which degree programs to talk to those who have been there. And we are very, very happy to set up those meetings for you. I would also say that there have been lots of questions about background of you all and what is appropriate when you apply for the LBJ school. The truth of the matter is we're very interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, whatever term you want to use. We have students who come from backgrounds ranging from aerospace engineering to fine arts, with everything in between. We have people who are stronger in quantitative methods and those who have never had statistics and are scared about it. It's quite all right. We have those who have come from more traditional backgrounds and some who have been out in the professional world for 10 to 15 years. Our average age of our incoming student is around 26, which means that on average, the number of years of professional experience a student has is somewhere between 3 and 4 years. But of course, averages are averages. So we've got a lot of variety in between. We have students who come straight out of undergrad who are academically well prepared to succeed in our program. We also have students who are my age. They're dinosaurs, right? And they've got a wealth of professional experience, but haven't been in the classroom for so many years. And maybe actually quite nervous about getting back and taking that intro to empirical methods and microeconomics. So we've got this wonderful diversity of students who are not only diverse in terms of age, gender, race, nationality. We've got great international students. We have students from all over the United States. So someone asked in the chat box, if you're on the East Coast, is this a good choice if you want to keep your options open for careers that aren't Texas-based? Absolutely. In fact, we have, an alumni base of over 5,000, 2,000 of which are in DC alone. So we've got people all over DC, New York, London, Beijing, all over the world. We also, if you go 2 blocks over to the state legislature from the school, you'll very quickly realize that all things Texas politics are about 1 degree of LBJ, at least in terms of running things. So we take all backgrounds and Brett, now you've got a cute daughter on the screen. So we've got dogs and daughters so far. But to get back to my point here, this is not a place where you have to have a political science degree to get in. We do look for certain things in the application process, which is demonstrated competence in things like statistical methods, some background in economics, because these will be requirements in your degree programs. So we look on your transcript to see signals that you have had past success in either these types of courses or something that's compensatory. So for example, if you've taken physics, we make the educated guess that you're probably going to be just okay in statistics, because if you can survive physics as an undergrad, chances are you can survive statistics. So we look broadly to see whether or not you've got that appropriate academic background. And then of course we look for professional experience. And for some of you, it may be simply internships that you've had or on-campus employment and research opportunities. For others of you, it may be years of professional experience, not all of which necessarily has to be direct policy relevant. In other words, we have lots of people who come from backgrounds in teaching and the military, healthcare services, where you weren't working directly on the policy questions around those sectors, but your experiences there have motivated you to start to ask and want to answer those questions around policy. So that's a very long-winded question is what kinds of background do I need for LBJ? We have no strict parameters. And in fact, we really look to build a student cohort that has those diversity of experiences because it enriches the learning environment for everybody. Okay, so tips for applications. I want to tell you a bit about our admissions process so that you better understand how to prepare your application. So in the admissions process, we have an admissions committee of 6 people plus myself. So I chair the committee. I serve as arbiter of scoring and so forth. And we follow a strict holistic admissions process. That means, for example, we don't look at any one thing in the application to determine whether or not someone gets in or out of the program. We actually, even with GREs, and by the way, we are not requiring GREs, and we will not be looking at GRE scores this year unless you directly tell us to. Okay, so we don't look at something like GPA and exclude someone solely on that basis. What we do is we have a developed rubric, we get diversity and inclusion training, and we go through a long process where every application is reviewed. And we look at your transcripts, your letters of recommendation, your statements of purpose, and any other additional materials you wish to send us, including things like writing samples or a statement on financial need or other things that you simply want us to know about you. I would say that the thing that I focus on most is the statement of purpose. And in the statement of purpose, I always look for a couple of things. Number one is the answer to the question, why does this student want to go to public policy school now? What is your motivation? What is your passion? Why don't you want to go to a political science program or an economics program or law school or business school? Why public policy? And then secondly, why LBJ of any other public policy school? So what is it about LBJ School, its ethos, its culture, its particular offerings in terms of curriculum, perhaps the faculty, perhaps the location, perhaps being in Austin, Texas makes most sense for you personally and professionally. Or maybe it's just the ranking of the school, the flexibility of the program to take classes outside of the LBJ School and take advantage of just the wealth of resources that Texas can offer, as one is the top 10 largest public universities and research universities in the United States. We're a top 30 research university in the world. And that means as an LBJ student, you're going to have the opportunities to go out and do things outside of actually the halls of Sid Richardson, which is our building. You can go and you can get involved with the law school's Rappaport Center, the Clements and Strauss Center's International Securities for Law and National Security. Take advantage of our Title IX centers, which are those that are focused on foreign language training and so forth. UT has so much to offer. And so one of your considerations is why you want to be in a public policy school is embedded in a very large research university, as opposed to a small private university where those opportunities would be much more limited. And it may also be because of the size of the program. We are on average smaller than your average public policy master's and PhD program. And we like it that way because we like to keep our faculty to student ratio small. That means we can give you the individualized experience and attention that we think you merit at this level. So the average incoming class for our empath cohort is somewhere between 80 and 90. And there's Molly, by the way, Laura's little girl. The average size of our GPS class is somewhere between 50 and 60 students each year. And the PhD cohort is very small, usually between 3 and 6 students a year. And that's very important for what we call the cohort effect, which is an opportunity to really, really get to know all of your peers and all the faculty. And our culture is one of open door, open Rolodex. That means that your faculty will know you by name. You will probably end up calling most of your faculty by their first names. Is that kind of informal culture. And this is not a place where you have to go through formal steps to get the attention of your faculty and their support in looking for careers and other opportunities. This is just part of what we do at the LBJ School. So a lot of people choose LBJ, not just because we're a top 10 program and we have excellence across the board, but because when they're looking at top programs, they want a particular experience, which is not a really competitive environment, but instead an environment that's more oriented around collaboration, teamwork, and the kind of peer support that you get here is bar none. So lots of things there. So tips for your application with that in mind, once you decide why LBJ. That was my long-winded second answer to what do we look for in the statement of purpose. I would say the final thing is, what is your fit? So the statement of purpose is a lot like our matchmaking system. and we look at it and say, are the students' interests and career objectives commiserate with what we can offer you? Or do we have excellence in the area of work that you want to delve into? Are there faculty for you to work with? Are there going to be a critical number of other students who share your interests so that you've got a peer network that's going to support you in your 2 or 3 years at the school? So tell us about what is your fit with the LBJ School? Is it because we have excellence in poverty research and that's what you want to do? Or perhaps because there's a particular skill set we offer around public management or national security or international development, something that you think sticks out when you look at the LBJ School versus other programs. So 3 things on the SOP to summarize: why public policy school, why LBJ amongst other public policy schools, and what is your fit with the LBJ School? And Carol's question, how do you help plant graduates into the real world soil of policy? We'll get to that, but I just saw a bunch of chatter about trowels and wondered what that was about. So in our admissions process, we work very, very quickly, despite the fact that we get hundreds upon hundreds of applications. It's really quite an intense period. The admissions committee will work nearly around the clock for several months, and we hope to get both our admission decisions and fellowship decisions by late February, sometimes early March. We do have rolling admissions, which means if you don't make the December 15th deadline, do not panic. It's perfectly fine. Students who make that deadline will get priority consideration for funding, but not making the December 15th deadline does not in any way exclude you from consideration of fellowships. So we just want to keep that in mind. And because this year we don't require the GRE, which is for me a wonderful thing, that also makes it a lot easier to apply to the LBJ School because you won't be waiting to take that test or get the scores in. Now, I know a lot of you have questions about the GRE. So the most frequently asked questions I've heard is, what if I've already taken the GRE, but I don't want it considered? Tell us. Just tell us point blank. You can bold it in your statement of purpose or somewhere else, is please don't look at my GRE scores. Okay, no problem. Or, I kind of did well on my GRE. Would you mind looking at them? Because it's the signal of something I want to demonstrate about myself. Okay, we'll do that. But by and large, I want to assure you all that we have never taken the GREs as some sort of benchmark. And this is very different. If you go to, let's say, Princeton, they actually tell you point blank on their website that GRE quant scores under 80 will pretty much exclude you from consideration. But we find GRE scores to be biased and poor signals in a number of ways. And so we look at every other aspect versus application. And I can't even tell you how many times I've had a student who bombed their GRE and then became a star in the program. So I'm really proud of our process. And we stick to that holistic admissions very, very seriously. Someone asked an excellent question, Isabel, about diversity, equity, and inclusion at the school. This is something we've been working very, very hard on for years, is to improve upon our already excellent commitment to DEI. As you can imagine, being the LBJ School, we're named after the president who passed the Civil Rights Act. This is an important part of our identity and our mission. In the past couple of years, we've done a couple of things that are very concrete steps in the direction of improving DEI. We have a school-wide DEI committee. We've created DEI-specific internships. We're launching one this year with pipeline internships with the Black Caucus in the U.S. Texas Legislature. We have a diversity and community engagement fellows program. We're doing a specific marketing. And we have tons and tons of programming at the school and through our civic engagement office that's run by Assistant Dean Victoria DiFrancesco Soto. And so that means that during your time at LBJ, you will have lots of opportunities to engage in workshops and training sessions on things like implicit bias and allyship and so forth. And we even certify this. And many times you can get certification to put on your resumes, and it's built in as a core pillar of our professional development certificate. So I could go on and on here, but this has been priority number one for us for quite some time.
Hey Danielle.
And I know, Shannon,
This
I'm
is Sam
running out of
with
time.
Legacy Achieves. Thanks so much for hopping on.
Okay, I think I missed something there, but
No, no
Shannon-
worries, Kate. So we have the GCs at 10, but feel free to answer a few more questions.
Okay, and I'm just blabbing at this point because there's so many frequently asked questions we get. But let me just assure you all that the LBJ School is an excellent choice for you, particularly if you're looking for a community, not just a degree program. And it's a tangible thing it's hard to explain, but it's very different if you're going to a large, let's say East or West Coast school where you're one of 300 master students and you're searching for opportunities to get your professors to know you, to get to know your other peers. And you get ranked every semester and you're in large classes. This is the polar opposite of the LBJ experience. The average class size actually is about 14. The faculty to student ratio is about 7 or 1 to 7. One faculty for every 7 students. Everyone gets to know each other. And it is a supportive environment in the sense that we never rank you against each other. And we try in every way possible not to make this the competitive cutthroat environment that other schools actually prize. And that is the big cultural difference with the LBJ School. So there are many, many other things I could talk about, but I know we're moving rapidly into the next session with the graduate coordinators. Shannon, would you like me to stay on and I can answer questions in the chat box?
Yeah, if you're willing, that'd be great.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. We do have one raised hand if you want to take one more question. Griffin, do you want to come online and ask your question?
Thank you. I was just going to ask, you mentioned the possibility of submitting extra materials like a writing sample or something like that, but on the My Status application page, there are very specific slots for each required item. So
sure.
I guess my two-part question is, where would we submit any kind of extra materials, and are there any limits to size on things like writing samples?
Right. Actually, this is an excellent question for our graduate coordinator. So if I could put it on their agenda to talk about next, they can walk you through the logistics of that process and where you add additional documents. So if you don't mind me punting on that, Griffin, I'm going to let the experts answer this.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. Any other questions for me now that I've completely run over time? You can tell I get very enthusiastic when I talk about the school. Well, I'm going to stay on a bit and answer questions in the chat box, and then I'm going to see you later also at 1 o'clock when we meet the faculty. So I'll be in and out all day, and I really, really hope you all enjoy engagement with the LBJ School today. Look forward to talking to as many of you as possible one-on-one.